Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. This is Market Insider TV. This is our WASDE report, and we do this once a month following WASDE reports or other important information. So we also do Market Insider TV every morning, every evening, talking about fundamentals and technical analysis. Hope you join us here each month for this webinar. And if you'd like to sign up to receive these in your email box, contact me and I will send them directly to you on a daily basis. Every morning before the opening, every afternoon after the close. All right, let's take a look here at the WASDE information. Kind of informational, pretty good as far as price action and movement after the report. Some good information from WASDE. Not typically a boring report. This was the first numbers that we had with the quarterly stocks info, so we were able to plug that into balance sheets. And what we're going to do today is kind of review what happened and also look at the next WASDE report. That'll be for the 2020 crop year. That'll be the first one where they'll incorporate some new supply and demand numbers into the equation. We can see how the balance sheets possibly are going to fare out. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Midwest Markets for latest information. Our website address is midwestmarketsolutions.com. All right, we'll take a look here at everything that happened in today's report. Remember, we were founded in 2020. I have over 20 years experience, and some of my staff have much more than that. Jerry Welch from our Montana office, in fact, made the comment this week. He was trading futures before there was options on futures. So got a lot of experience, we've seen a lot, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen this type of volatility and uncertainty in these times, with everyone being quarantined at home. But the more experience you have, the more benefit you're going to have for your producers and your clients. So take a look here. We clear through R.J. O'Brien, the oldest clearing firm at the CME. They were founded in 1914. There's a list of all of our services that are available. A lot of information there for our clients and our subscribers. So make sure you follow up and get on some of our information. All right, so this is the information that was thrown at us today. U.S. grain ending stocks, what everybody pretty much looked at. Corn stocks increased up about 200 million bushels, and we'll look at how they did that today, but it was an increase of 200 million, more than the trade estimate as well. The soybean number was also larger than the trade guess and from last month, yet we did close corn, soybeans, and wheat higher. Wheat was also above last month, and trade kind of just shrugged off this news here. I think is kind of dialed it in. You can see by the estimates we were looking for slight increases in corn, soybean, and wheat ending stocks. So not a surprise to the trade, but it was more than what the trade had expected. On a world production number, and I thought this was friendly, you look at the soybean crop in Brazil, 124.5. That's down from last month. Look at this Argentina soybean crop, 2 million metric tons less than last month. The corn number stayed the same, but the top end of the soybean crop is coming off. Now, compared to last year, we're still well above last year's soybean crop in Brazil. Argentina's soybean crop, we're slipping a little bit. We still have a monster crop. It's not quite as large as what previously had been expected. And this could open the door for some export business for the U.S. Later this growing season. I don't think it will right now because we're still got plenty of supply. It's not that small of a crop, but I think this Brazilian number starts to creep down even farther, maybe close to 121, 122, and that could give us some export opportunities going into the summer months. World ending stocks, however, larger in corn, smaller in soybeans, and larger in wheat compared to last month. And there's trade guesses on your screen there as well. So let's take a look at specific commodities. Go corn, soybeans, and wheat. So if we look at the corn market, I wanted to put this graph on here because the USDA has really given us some information here on the weekly EIA report and ethanol production. We're seeing major changes here. This is the last 2 weeks where production has dropped, and we've seen huge drops the last 2 weeks. We're not done falling yet. These ethanol plants are starting to slow down or close out. If we get back to a more normal economy, we can start driving again. If crude oil prices begin to rally, if they kind of stabilize things with the OPEC nations, cut back on some production, we certainly could see a rebound in ethanol. But what we're seeing today is a disaster as far as what we're doing from a production standpoint. Okay, let's look at the supply and demand sheets. Here we've got a couple columns here. This is USDA, what they did today. This is our estimate. And then this is the USDA as we think they'll say in the month of May and where we come in. So those are the key columns to look at. The rest of this is for historical reference. USDA in this column didn't change any of the planted numbers, or they will next month. They're going to resurvey 4 states, but they're not going to resurvey North Dakota. That's going to come at a later date. So we still won't have final production numbers, but suspect that this will come down just a little bit as we go into the next report. So they had carry in today at 2.22, and we ignore all the production numbers. What we get down to is ethanol usage, and this dropped a long ways. They dropped ethanol by 300 million bushels, and that gave us an increase in our ending stocks, but they also increased feed usage by a couple hundred million. So we'll plug in those numbers into the balance sheets. Exports, they left unchanged. I think there's a chance we could see an increase in exports. We had a market year high this week in our sales, and if the crop sizes do come down just a little bit in South America, I think there's a chance we could rebound from their low estimate of exports. But with the drop in ethanol usage and increase in feed usage, it all works out to a carry out of about 2.092. So you can go back here. This is going to be going back to 16 and 17, we were at the 2.295 area, 2.1, 2.2. This is the lowest of the last 4 years, but it's still, pretty large number. And the next screen we'll look at how this ending stocks numbers fare historically. But this is still a big number, big number here. That's why we see prices where they are as of the close today. Now, as we go into the 2020 marketing year, this will be for the crop that's being seeded around the Midwest. The USDA survey, this is not their forum numbers, the USDA Ag survey that they did of farmers was 96.99 million acres. I think that's going to be a little high. There's going to be a little bit more prevent plant. Soybeans may get shifted over from the corn market. And that's how I'm betting. I'm thinking we're going to see a 1.5 million acre reduction. It's going to help our balance sheets. It's not going to change it dramatically. So as we look at their production number, they're at 15.8. I'm at going to be 15.6. One of the largest production numbers in history. Our ethanol usage, I'm hoping rebounds. The USDA is going to anticipate a rebound. I think we'll rebound, and we won't be record large like we were back here. But even if we get to 5.4, that's going to be the second largest in our history here. So that's a healthy rebound, and that's expecting a rebound. Also expecting exports to improve dramatically because of lower prices, trade agreements with China, that sort of thing. We expect exports to improve, and overall, we've got usage at about 14.8. That's a full billion bushels more than this last year. In fact, 14.8 kind of rivals the 2017 year where we had 14.799 billion bushels. So this I think is extremely optimistic. This is very optimistic as well based on history, and it's making assumptions that our exports and our ethanol are going to improve. Otherwise, look at your ending stocks. This is with big assumptions for improvement in demand, 2.9 and 3.1 billion bushels. If we don't see those improvements, we're looking at sweltering of ending stocks of the corn market. So here's a chart how this compares to history. The bar is historical ending stocks. This is where we're projected now. R.J. O'Brien's projecting in that 2.95 range as well. Some companies are well above 3 billion bushels as they don't factor in that improvement in ethanol. This is why producers have to be not complacent in marketing. There's opportunities. Corn's not a great price, but it's better than where it could be if we see a 3 billion bushel carryout. Otherwise, historically, the last couple of years have been historically large. This looks to just dwarf anything that we've had the last couple of years. Let's take a look at soybeans in the few minutes we have. As far as our ending stocks go, didn't make many changes. They lowered exports. I've got them a little bit less than what the USDA is. They dropped at 50 million bushels. I think we could see a little tighter balance sheet than what we're showing here. I reflect that in this new crop marketing year, though. I think China may be very late to the game, and they're either going to buy in the very latter stages of this marketing year or early in this marketing year. But either way, I think we rebound next year. I'm pretty close to where the USDA is at 480 million bushels. I think there's some companies that are closer to 500 for this marketing year. Either way, 480, 500, 460, I don't think it matters, because you look at historically, this would be the second largest carryover in history. I think USDA, is lowering the carryout, but I do anticipate more acres are going to be seeded than what the government is. That's going to increase this balance sheet back closer to 400 million instead of the 319 that they're at. So I don't know if there's going to be a lot of great marketing opportunities going forward. We have to have weather issues for corn and soybeans to rally to get the funds out of their short positions, and that's one thing we look at very closely in our TV segments, is how the funds are positioned in the marketplace, long, short, and what we anticipate they're going to do. So 400 million bushel carryout would be third largest, challenging the 17-18 marketing year. From a historical standpoint, this stands out. 900 million bushels really stands out just a couple years ago. We're going to tighten things back up, but there's been very few years where we've been above 400 million bushels in history. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this year would be 5, and then next year possibly could be 6. So not very often are we above 400 million, but it looks like we're going to have a carryout that's going to be close to that for the 2020 marketing year. All right, finally going to look at some wheat, and USDA didn't make really any changes. The balance sheets did increase just a little bit for the wheat market. No changes in production. Exports at 985 million bushels. Export market is slowing, and so I agree with them at this 985. That was a drop of about 15 million from where they were at previously. So we're looking at 970 carryout. As far as this next marketing year, I have yields better than what the USDA has. Look at this last year's yield, 51.7 million. The USDA is 3.5 bushels per acre less than year ago levels, and the wheat crop is off to a much better start. Now there is a chance we could hurt that crop and trim yields. I think the USDA is way under as far as their yield estimates. I think I'm probably shallow as well. Probably need to bump this up closer to 50, but it's still early in the growing season. Other than that, so I've got production a little bit larger than what they have. Other than that, not a lot of different changes going forward in here. Exports at 1 billion bushels. This may be optimistic. I think we may need to draw this back. I'm not ready to do that yet, but if Russia does have a big crop, I think we drop 1 billion bushel export profile closer into the 900. So we could take 100 million bushels off of this and add it to this category, the carryout, and be looking at 975, 950, 975 million bushels of carryout going forward. There's only been 3 years where we've been over 1 billion, and we're just coming off of that as our yield, our acres have come down, in the teens here. We're at 54, 55, 56, 56 million. We're down to 44, 45 million acres being seeded, and that has brought our carryout levels down just a little bit. All right, we're going to sign off here, but again, we hope that this helps you out. There's a chart of our historical ending stocks for wheat. Hope this helps. We hope you've had a great day, and as always, contact us in the future if you have questions. We'd be glad to talk with you. This has been Brian Hoops with Midwest Market Solutions. Have a good Easter weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.